welcome to our second edition of Make Your Move to the Middle of Everywhere. We have Ron and Laura Martin with us today. I think previously we were talking about, with you mostly, the ROS program and how that kind of made some decisions for you guys to make your move to. So could you explain kind of what that program, an overview of that, and
Yes.
what appealed to you guys?
Yes. So the ROS program, and that's an abbreviation for Rural Opportunity Zone.
And that's specific to Morton County.
That is specific to the Kansas Department of Commerce.
Okay.
And there are certain counties in the state of Kansas that are rural opportunity zones. And there are two types of benefits with moving into a rural opportunity zone. One of them is college tuition reimbursement. You know, and I know that like our hospital has been short of nursing. If we could get some nurses to move here, even if they're new grads, that rural opportunity zone, because they move into Morton County, would pay their college degree.
I think it pays 100% of their, or not.
Not, but almost. It pays a lot. But the
Okay.
one that we took advantage of by moving to Morton County and opening a business is an exemption from state income taxes for 5 full years.
Oh, wow.
So we moved in 18, and so for the last half of 18, we had to pay state income taxes because it only works on full years, and it's 5 full years. So 19, 20, 21, 22, and this is our last.
Yeah.
This
We
is our,
discussed that.
We discussed that, yeah.
this is our fifth full year of being exempt from state income taxes. And it's not just the quilt shop, but it's also on the salary that he makes from his company.
Right. And it made it, like I think we talked about earlier, it made it a lot more palatable moving from a state that didn't have a state income tax to Kansas that did, just to, you know, I guess lull us into a false sense of security because we are going to have to start next year. But yeah, it's been very good. It was definitely an incentive to come. So
Is that, I believe that's something that we've had numerous people maybe take advantage of, and it's kind of boosted our entrepreneur.
Yes, the Department of Commerce also has e-communities, and that's a part of Network Kansas, which is a part of the Kansas Department of Commerce. And Morton County is also considered an e-community. There are certain things we have to do to keep that status, but one of them is low interest rates for entrepreneurs. And so it's a matter of moving from outside of Morton County into Morton County.
Right.
yeah.
Wow, that's a big plus.
It's
for
huge.
sure.
Yeah, it's a good thing. Yep.
Now, Ron, you had talked about working from home.
Right.
What shocked you? I remember talking to you before about the broadband, and you had mentioned one of your friends that was working elsewhere.
Yeah.
And you mentioned about the broadband.
Yeah, it is. So I work for a large software company and work remote. And, you know, it's funny, you know, we'll get on a conference call and there could be people from, you know, Europe or Asia or, you know, other parts of the U.S. or, you know, and generally we have some banter, you know, when we start those calls and everybody wants to know where, a lot of people are working remote. So everyone wants to know where everyone's based. And when it comes around to me, you know, I'll tell them where I live, and they're like, well, what kind of internet do you have? I mean, I think they think I have like 2 cans in a string kind of internet, right? But it is funny because it's ironic because we moved from Arlington in Texas in the middle of Dallas-Fort Worth, and we had decent internet there, but I couldn't get fiber to my house. I have fiber to my house in Elkhart, which is kind of funny, and the people can't believe. They're like, you really have fiber to your house? Well, yeah, I really do.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, that's Epic Touch Company.
Yes.
And then they've been a family-owned, started out as telephone, but a family-owned telephone / internet company. And I believe they also have a place in Louisiana.
Correct.
So they are expanding. But that's been unique to this community for a lot of years.
Yeah.
And that's something to be very proud of.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm the only one. I know there's another lady in town that also works for some sort of technology company, and that was one of the requirements, I believe, that she had to live in a town that had, you know, good, you know, fiber optic kind of internet.
Well, and I think there's been numerous. Maybe I can think of 4 to 6 people that have
Mm-hmm.
moved here
Yeah.
just for that work from home
Yeah.
during COVID
Yeah.
and all of that.
Yeah,
But,
for sure.
So, what would you say quality of life issues? What do you enjoy about coming from metro to small town America?
Yeah.
What pluses?
Well, for me, it's happy wife, happy life, because we both grew up in small towns. I actually grew up here.
Right.
Laura grew up near Hayes, a little town near Hayes, Kansas, and she lived in the city with me for 30 years, but she was never a big fan. So that was the biggest thing. She wanted to move back to a rural kind of setting, and my job had the flexibility to do that. So that was good, but also some more proximity to both of our families.
Right.
I mean, that was a big plus as well. And my job's portable, so it really doesn't matter,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
Where I live.
That's a big plus.
It's just a
Yeah.
slower lifestyle, or it seems slower. We joke sometimes because, in Dallas-Fort Worth, you can go into a restaurant time after time after time and never see anybody or run into anybody you know. And you can't do that here. It's a little like Cheers, Norm.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
yeah.
And so sometimes we will go out of town just to eat, just for anonymity.
yeah, it's funny. Yeah.
But that's not necessarily a minus.
Yeah.
You're just
No, I
Yeah.
love it.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And if I'm not mistaken, we have 5 or 6 restaurants.
Yes.
Right.
I mean, Pizza Hut,
Yeah.
Yes.
Big C's,
Yeah.
Dairy Cream,
Dairy Cream,
The Wildcat.
Wildcat.
Ella
Yeah, that's across the street from.
Well, and besides that, I mean, we definitely do have more places to eat than other towns that are comparable size, which is great. But there are also some other amenities that most towns this size don't have. I mean, like the theater. We have a modern theater. Theater owner even plays art house kind of like Sundance,
Right.
winter movies. So which it's not just the generic, fare that I guess runs through most. So there's a good bit of variety there. So yeah, it's got a lot of nice things.
For sure.
Besides the necessities, right?
Right.
So
Well,
so.
and somebody earlier had said, and it was kind of a cute quote, like, "I'm not born here, but I got here as fast as I could,"
All right. Yeah.
or something like
Yeah.
that, or
Yeah.
pick your place and live at your pace. Some of those
Oh, very nice.
cute
Yeah.
little quotes, and
Yeah.
I know from our previous conversation that you had a neat quote. Can you recall what you?
Oh, right. Yeah. It just kind of popped out. Well, one of the things, that there was kind of we anticipated would be a downside of moving here. It was like, well, we lived right in the middle of Dallas-Fort Worth for all those years. And it's like, well, things won't be quite as handy. Things won't be, the stores won't be open as much, things like that. But there were some, I guess, oh shoot, what did I say? Unanticipated conveniences that we didn't think about moving here. And for instance, I mean, we know everybody. We know the other business owners and things. And in Dallas, for instance, if I had a contractor working at my house, he needed to go get something at Lowe's or Home Depot. I can't just call Lowe's or Home Depot and say, hey, I got a contractor coming, give him what he needs. It's like, but I can do that here. I was like, hey, I got a contractor coming by, just give him what he needs, and he'll send me a bill later. And so that's pretty handy, obviously. Or people that I know the business owner of another, or even if it's closed, right? So sometimes I can just call him up and say, hey, could you have this? Can I get this right now? And I think Laura mentioned, people on Facebook say, hey, I'm for the things that we can't get here, I'm going to Amarillo, or I'm going to Liberal, or I'm going to Garden City, or whatever. Does anybody want me to pick anything up? We're like, well, sure, actually, if you want to pick some stuff up for it. And they do, right?
You see that all the time. Is anybody going to XYZ?
Right,
Yeah.
And
right.
I think that speaks well of our tight-knit community.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And
Helping
it
each
gives a
other out.
sense of community.
No, yeah,
Absolutely.
there's definitely a bigger sense of community.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
yeah.
Well, getting back to that, I know that you travel some.
Mm-hmm.
So would you, having an international airport that's basically 2 hours away,
Yeah.
is that help you execute what you need to execute by?
Yeah. We have several options around. I mean, obviously, there's not. I don't live 15 minutes from DFW anymore.
Right.
But by the time I was thinking about it, by the time I would fight traffic or find parking and do all of those things, even though the airport was in some proximity, there was a lot of time involved,
Right.
nonetheless. And I've kind of just traded some driving time for traffic time and parking time and shuttle time and all that
Security time.
and security time because the airports that are around here, all of them that I've flown out of, I mean, there's never never a line at security.
Right.
You just basically walk right in and get on your plane. So yeah, not as close, but still fairly handy to do that, whether flying from one of the local regional hubs or going down to the international airport.
Right.
So
Well,
yeah.
and that's a plus for us.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Does Epic Touch provide adequate broadband service? I mean, do you,
Oh yeah.
no
yeah.
outages to speak of?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's been great too. It's been very reliable. I mean, we've been
Right.
here actually coming up on 5 years now,
Right.
and I can think of one time for a few minutes in 5 years that it was not available. But yeah, it's much greater than 99.99 uptime
Right.
here, and
Right.
and plus then they have actually raised the bandwidth levels in the last couple of years. So yeah, sometimes I need to download some very large binaries to do the work that I do, and it's never an issue at all. So and it's synchronous. It's up and down, so I get the same speed both ways. So
Right.
which is nice.
Right.
So
Well, Laura, what has it been like since you opened up Loved Quilt Shop? Have you? My assumption would be you've created a family and met maybe some new faces and new relationships that have blossomed and
Most definitely. I mean, as a quilt shop owner, I take my job very seriously. I like to get people outside their boxes,
Right.
to push them, to challenge them, maybe more towards modern quilting or something. But really, I have worked very hard at making this quilt shop a destination. And this happened just yesterday. I had a lady, her husband is a hunter here. They're from Kingman, between Pratt and Wichita. And every time he comes to town, he comes in and he picks out a couple yards of fabric to take home to his wife for a gift. That's a good man, by the way. And so anyway, but they came to town yesterday with another couple, and she's a quilter too. They drove from Kingman to Elkhart just to come to this quilt shop yesterday.
yes, and
That's huge.
and I know I don't know a lot about how it works, but I know you put some beds in for overnight
Yes,
guests.
I have a 12-bed retreat facility here, private bathrooms, and it's dormitory style sleeping, but the bathrooms and the toilets and the showers are behind closable, lockable doors, and I pull from all over for retreats. Quilters kind of come in packs,
Yes.
About once every 3 months, I've got a group out of Dalhart that comes up. I've got a group out of Perryton. They come almost monthly. And those are towns that are 2 hours,
right.
2 hours away. So
And so I know they come because of the quilt shop, but they probably also enjoy other things like maybe going to a movie, restaurant.
Oh yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, a couple different times. I've had people call and say, "We're coming to a movie, but we don't want to come, to be out of your shop by 5. Could we stay a little later?" Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll meet you here or
Right.
stay late for you.
Right.
Absolutely. And when they come to town, they've got great places to eat. We have a gift shop 2 doors down here,
What's it called?
Cattails,
Cattails.
and
Okay.
it is off the charts. I can't even think of anything that was in the Fort Worth, Dallas area that would compare to that. It's engraving while you wait.
Right.
They have recently put in a flower shop.
Mhm.
I mean, it's
I've heard other people make comments of the service that they get when they go into any of our retail shops. It's very friendly. While you wait, like you said, that you don't have to stand around.
Yes.
They come back next
Right.
week.
Yeah.
And I think that speaks to the quality of people that
I would agree with that.
yeah.
I think it may be another unanticipated, and it's not really a convenience or something, but I would say definitely the people here. It's just a different mentality. We talked earlier about a sense of community here, and there was such a hustle and bustle in Dallas, Fort Worth, there was little human interaction. You know, I could run errands. Let's say I was running errands and I was in 7 or 8 different places. I spoke to nobody I knew.
Right.
I was with hundreds of people and I interacted with 7 or 8 cashiers, but there was no personal interaction.
No connection.
No connection.
Right.
And there are definite connections here. And the thing that I see the most is, you know, Morton County is what the rural opportunity zone. It has to do with our economy here, and there's not a lot of extra money right here. But the way this community takes care of its own still baffles me. Most of this community doesn't have a lot of extra cash laying around, and especially with the economy now. But by George, if one of them gets cancer, they can raise $10,000 over chicken and noodles.
Yeah.
And that just blows my mind.
Well, I think that speaks to our character
Absolutely.
as a community and
Absolutely.
our empathy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
So, yeah, I think that it would be a great place for any young or old
Right.
to come to an experience.
Yeah.
What?
Interestingly, you said the young or the old, but it made me think. So next Saturday is the airing of the quilts here. We do it once a year, once a spring.
Right.
It started in COVID. It was
Right.
just a quilt show where people just hang their quilts outside on their mailbox or drape them over their cars or something. And I had put a thing on Facebook, you know, call and give me your address if you're going to have quilts out, because I have out-of-towners come and they want to know where to go rather than just driving around. And
Right.
this town sits a little cockeyed anyway, but
Right.
the senior living center called me yesterday, and they are going to display quilts
Absolutely.
too. So, you
yeah,
know,
I forgot about we have a very nice assisted living
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
facility as well.
Yeah.
as
it's
our-
beautiful in
and
there.
our hospitals is top notch, and it just.
Yeah.
And I don't think you guys play golf, do you?
No, I'm not a
We
big
talked
golfer.
a little bit
Yeah.
about it, but we have a fabulous golf.
Yeah,
course.
it's very
Yes.
highly rated. Yes.
So, what are there anything as you've lived here almost 5 years that has been a pleasant surprise that you really that over time that has been unexpected, that's kind of shocked you as far as your quality of life or your safety in your community and not so many politics
Right.
or
The first one that comes to mind for me, we had been empty nesters about 3 years when we moved here. But when we lived in Dallas, Fort Worth, he had his friends and I had my friends. Now, we did go to the same church.
Right.
But it was just, you know, he went with his group of friends and I went with my group of friends. And here we've really made some couple friends. And that's been, I would say,
It's been huge. Yeah.
that has been huge for us. And
something you appreciate.
yes,
Yes.
most definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, going back to what you said about the sense of community, and that's been one of the things that I didn't really think about as much moving back. But there is I think after 30 years in Dallas Fort Worth, I kind of lost that sense of community. I didn't expect it, didn't anticipate it, and it was
That's just
definitely
kinda how we
Probably
live.
forgot that you craved it.
yeah,
now
I
that
kind of
you're
forgot that
Yeah.
it existed as a thing,
Right.
right? So I mean, we had small communities that we're involved in, but at a church or the kids were in school, the kids were in the
Right.
school community, but
Right.
it's a different vibe here for sure. So.
Have you hung out at the school activities much? Have you noticed ball games? And
A few.
We went to ball games when we first got here, but then COVID.
Right, right.
Right, yeah.
But our school. This is a whole nother story, but our school started a mental health day in November of 21. I think we've had 2 of them, and that has been just a really cool thing. We've had a little heartbreak in our community with some mental health and some suicides. And my background is actually mental health and counseling. I use it every day right here. But You know, I was asked to get involved to teach some sewing, and that is just a phenomenal day. This community gets involved that day. It's for the high school, and they can choose to do something they've never done before. And you know, I like to tell people that the whole purpose of that is to introduce, you know, they have like 6 or 7 topics they can choose from, the kids can. And if they can meet one new person in the community that shares that hobby with them or that skill with them, that's one more connection for them. Maybe their friends aren't providing it. Maybe their parents aren't clued in. Maybe they're falling through the cracks at school or something. But every time I teach those, it's always been girls in those sewing classes. It's like, you can come into my shop anytime, and all you have to do is say, "Can I talk to you?"
Right.
You know, I'll put the clothes sign out if I need to, because it is that worth it.
Yes.
And I think that again just goes to the sense of community, because they pull people from all over the community to come and share this.
Well, this project that I assume you guys are familiar with that I'm working on is the suicide awareness.
Yes.
We're trying to find.
Yes.
I found that maybe we're one of the, I don't want to say the first, but one of the few communities, certainly in Kansas, that are kind of taking that seriously and taking that head on.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it is, you know, it is an issue, but you need to provide people a safe place. And I think that, like you said, we're all willing to stop, take a minute, and smile at somebody, or how's your day, and
make that connection.
And make that connection.
And you know, with the economy right now, and we are in such a drought right now, you know, I really see that in our farm in our farmers and our ranchers. There's a lot of discouragement.
Yes, there is.
Right there.
But I think that we all are certainly willing and have the ability to lift everybody up during these times.
Yes, yes.
So I think that's very important. And that was kind of a uncharted territory for me anyway on the suicide thing, and a little bit unwanted until we were able to push the issue a little bit and explain some statistics. And and I think that I know that everybody in my fundraising efforts are jumping on board and willing to give up their...
Well, and it goes back to that whole, and I said it before when I was talking about, you know, raising money to help somebody. It's one of our own.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
You know, I personally never knew either one of the people that have committed suicide recently here in town. But by George, they're one of our own. And you see that, and even though I didn't know them, I feel that.
Well, on a slightly different note, like Darren Simmons is the special teams coach for the Cincinnati Bengals and assistant head coach.
Right.
He's one of our own.
He's one of our own.
And when he came back, we threw a little party. And, and that's just, we have a lot of people that have come from this community that have turned out very successful.
Very successful.
And they haven't been forgotten by us. I mean, it's just kind of how we roll. So anyway.
For sure.
I think that's a very neat idea. So, am I forgetting anything that we should be mentioning, talking about? Our healthcare system we're very proud of.
Right.
Parks, Whistle Stop Park, with a 2-mile walking path, I think.
We have a brand new, and this is another entrepreneur right here, but we have a brand new physical therapy center.
And I have been attending that. And I will say that is a fabulous facility.
Absolutely, absolutely. So
that's another one of those.
It's
all you entrepreneurs, come to Elkhart.
Yeah, well, the Youth Entrepreneur Challenge, the state one is Thursday, and I'm.
You're going to which?
Manhattan to judge the state contest.
Right.
So. Yeah.
Well, I I can't think of anything else.
I think we covered
We
covered
covered
it.
a little bit of ground. I'm sure we'll think of something later.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll be the third edition of it.
Right.
So,
Indeed.
well, thanks to I want to
Yes,
just
thank
repeat
you,
thanks to
guys.
our high school,
Our production crew.
our production crew, their fabulous teacher, Mrs. Houts. You guys do a fabulous job. So we appreciate
this
that
is-
very, very much.
This
And
Yes.
is exciting.
and that's part of how we roll. Wanted to get our kids involved, and I know they're proud of their community, and we want to make a job for them to come back to.
Yeah.
when they're
Yeah,
done
this
with
is a
school.
very
So,
entrepreneur-friendly
yes, it is.
community.
So it is. Well, thanks so much.